I'm Mark Rhodes with New View Strategies. We originally presented this session at the User Group Summit North America 2020, and now we want to share our insights and experiences with you. Enjoy!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Community Summit 2020. This is the Item Master Plus session. My name is Kim Dallafeld. As you can see, I've been doing NAV and Business Central for a while now. I really love this product. I want everybody to love this product, and that is my ultimate goal. And I'm really excited today to have with me a co-host.
Hello, I'm Cynthia Preby, and I am also a little bit geeky dorky about NAV and Business Central. I'm sorry, Kim, that's how you came across. I love it also. And what I really like is being able to share what I've learned over the years. I started working with it in 2005, and Kim and I were talking and said we really like doing these presentations together because when we do them together, we learn from each other. And we've both been using the system for a long time, so we hope that you will learn from us too.
Absolutely. So let's dive in. Objective. Cynthia asked me, Kim, what is the objective for this? Why did you come up with this topic idea and pull me into helping you? And I said, I really know that there's so much around the Item Master, and when we implement, we get people going, and we just barely get everything set up. And we always talk about phase 2, or we'll do that later. And sometimes many times we never get to that. And there's so much we can do. And I just wanted to remind people of that and share that. And so really just expanding that information for people is why I wanted to do it. And thank you for coming in and helping me.
Glad to help. But I want to warn everybody, this is going to be a little bit of back and forth, kind of like a ping pong game, right? And so we'll see who wins at the end. Maybe somebody can keep score, but let's get started.
Oh, we are going to go back and forth. Cool.
We are. So let's talk about the agenda. Right here, you can see we've got 9 topics to cover. So that's a lot to cover in a short period of time. Well, actually, it depends on how you look at 50 minutes. But each one of these is either a field or related area for the item card. So why don't we get started?
Awesome. I'll take extended text.
Okay, go for it.
I think this is a really cool feature. If you need more description, or even if you want to write a book, it's a great tool to use. And you can see the simple setup here for your item. And there's a lot of even features here. I can do different languages. I can have a starting and ending date. So if I'm running a special, I can put that date range in there. I didn't do that in my example that I'm going to show you here, but you can see this is a office accessory and it comes in various colors. So, and it's unlimited, the information I can put in here. So there's even more options that I couldn't fit on one screen, and those are where you want to print. Look at all this that I can do. And I think it's a really powerful tool that we can utilize. So how do I make it work? And that's easy. On your item card, you can set this to automatic or manual. So what I have highlighted here is the automatic extended text field. It's turned off right now, so it's manual for this item. So each item can be its own, thing. Another item can be automatic and other items can be manual. So let's take a look at this in action. So I have a sales order, and I want to show you how extended text works. So first I'm going to show you manual. So I'm going to use my 1896S, which is my Athens desk, and no extended text came in. Kim, why are you showing me this? Well, remember, I want to show you manual. Okay, so I go up to line, I do functions, and I say insert extended text. If I could speak, that would be helpful.
Now this is because on one sales order, I might want to see it, on a different one, I don't.
That's a very good point, yes. But it came in as soon as I did that. So, but let's look at what automatic extended text does. So let's use, I think it's 1900S, yeah. And as soon as I hit enter after the S, so I'm putting in the item number, my extended text automatically comes in. I just think this is a really cool tool. It will work on sales orders and purchase orders.
Cool.
So I hope you enjoy.
Absolutely. I can see where that'd be used.
And All to you.
My turn. All right, so now we're going to talk about units of measure. And when we think of units of measure, one of the things that probably first comes to mind is that base unit of measure. And that is right smack dab on the general fast tab of that item card, and it's how the item is stored in inventory. And what you may not know is it's also the basis for alternate units of measure. Well, before we get into those alternate units of measure, there's also two other places on the item card that you will find a unit of measure. And those are the sales unit of measure and the purchase unit of measure. The idea here is that when you create that base unit of measure, the system automatically defaults that into these two units of measure. So if that's the only unit of measure you use, you don't have to worry about anything else. However, let's say maybe I purchase by the pallet and I sell by the box. So how do we set that up? Well, the first thing I want to call your attention to is that before we even do that, there's a net weight on the item card, and you can see here that I have 26. That net weight relates back to my base unit of measure, which is in this case pieces. And I'll show you in a minute here as we create our alternate units of measure, why that's important to understand. So let's go to the units of measure. You can see our pieces here. We're going to create a new one, and we're going to do box. And this box is going to contain 2, but it immediately defaults 1, and you see that net weight came in as 26. If I change it to 2, look at the weight over there, and it's going to change to 52. So it automatically multiplied the 2 times my net weight of 26. I can change it here to 60, and I can do all I want, but guess what? It will not impact my sales orders. It will not impact the weight on my purchase orders. That number here is used for bin management. So no matter what I do, it's going to use this net weight of 26. But what you need to understand is what we just did was we went in and we set up an alternate unit of measure for boxes. So now, as I mentioned, maybe I sell by the box. I can set that as my default unit of measure.
You know, that's really cool. I noticed it updated the gross weight to 30. I guess it divided 60 in a box by 2 and put 30.
But it uses the net weight for the orders. So
interesting.
I know. So I think
kind of good, kind
of. Well, and this is one of those weird things, right? So yeah. What I always tell people, when you start using fields like this and you start using the units of measure, make sure you test things through. Put something in the sandbox and see how everything is applied.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Good catch, by the way. Guess what? Your turn.
My turn. Okay. How about let's talk about variants. I don't know if I've told you, but I have a love-hate relationship with variant.
I did not know that.
Yes. I think it's a really awesome tool. I want to give you kind of try to get people to assimilate to what they are. So with stock keeping units, we have one item and then we have multiple locations, right? And we can set data on those different location cards for reordering parameters, that kind of thing, and cost. With a variant, I still have one item record and I can apply variants to it, but I don't really have other parameters I can put to the variant. Now, I will back up and say you can even put a variant on that SKU. Okay, so that actually expands the use of that. So hopefully that gives you kind of what they are. And now let's talk a little bit about setup and how we can use them. So here's my Athens desk, and I use color. I can do this in black, gray, and brown. And color and size are typical uses of variants. And versions.
Go for it.
Versions and revisions also work very well. So, and I'm sure people come up with other reasons to use variants. So it's really whatever you want to track. But how would you use it? Well, here's just some examples. You can use it in pricing. You could literally price by the variant. Think of selling t-shirts and you have, small, medium, large, or one size, but the XL, the double XL, the triple XL, they charge more for that. You've seen that at places. Mm-hmm. That's a way variant can come into play with pricing and or with costing. I talked about it being part of maybe the stock keeping units when you set them up, and we can track quantity by variant. So again, my one item, but now I can tell how many smalls I've got, how many mediums, how many blues or pinks, right? And there's more places. So really powerful. So my hate comes in the following. The quantity on hand by variant is what I want, right? But variant's not required. I can't force you to use a variant even though you've set up. So on my desk, it's gray, brown, or black, but I can't make you give me one of those. So you could just do one and never give me a variant. So now my quantity by variant's kind of all messed up. So you might say, well, just make it required. Well, there's just nothing in there. I can't make it required. So it's something I hope we get one day, is the ability to make that required if there are variants there. So, but it still has a lot of good uses, and it's not a hard little modification. Not that we're promoting modifications, but if you have this need, pretty easy to do.
Now, worst case though, I can also report on a blank variant, correct?
You could.
Right, so I'm still missing information, but at least I know the records I'm missing the information on.
Very true, very true.
Well, still not what we were hoping for, right?
No, not exactly.
Yeah, so I think it's my turn.
It's your turn. Serving the ball to you, ping pong.
I purposefully didn't keep the ball going back and forth. I didn't want anybody to get seasick or anything. All right, so cross-references, let's talk about them. So we have different types of cross-references. We can set up cross-references by vendor, customer, or for a barcode purpose. And then when we say we're doing a cross-reference for a customer, we get to say which customer we're setting it up for. And we get to say, okay, when I set up this cross-reference for this item, how does the customer see it, or how does the vendor see it? And like we mentioned earlier, we can use a unique unit of measure. We already talked about we could set up different units of measure. So maybe my customer, instead of seeing pieces, wants to see each. So I could set up an alternate or another item unit of measure for each that's still equal to 1. It's not my base unit of measure, but it will be on my customer record. And I could use that variant. I can't force them to use that variant, but I could also put the variant on the cross-reference, which, by the way, would be a way to have it default in, possibly, correct?
Maybe.
And be on that record so that somebody doesn't have to think about entering it.
That's a great idea. Great idea. Oh, I want to mention one thing, and I noticed you put it on your slide. Down on the bottom right, one of the things we added for you is kind of how to get to the cross-reference or the variant or whatever we might be talking about. So if you're looking for it, you can use these slides to help you find it.
And hopefully I remember to do that on every slide. I'll just say that.
I know, right?
So, all right, so let's talk about cross-references. Well, interestingly enough, we go to that same navigate and item that we did for the units of measure, but this time we're going to pick cross-references. And when I look at those cross-references, the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to set one up for that customer. So I need to pick which customer I'm defining this cross-reference for. And I get to give it a number that is their number. So it might be their catalog number, which is great, right? So they're going to call me up and say, I want a BGC 999. And now I'm going to know what that is. I can say that they order it in pieces, and I can put a description here. And by the way, I'm using that Berlin guest chair. But in this case, they don't want to see the comma yellow that we have on our description. So I can just put Berlin guest chair. Now, when I buy it from my vendor, they have their own identifier. And the vendor I buy it from is vendor 40,000 here. And in this case, it's the MWC 100, because when I buy it from them, it's by the box, so I get 2. And for them, it's a modified wing chair. It's not the Berlin guest chair. That's my code and my customer's code. So I can actually set that up with a completely different name. So now, how do we use that? So let's use purchasing as our example. When I go and I create a purchase order, and I'm just going to bring one up using Tell Me here. In a minute. And
gotta love Tell Me.
Yes, I know. When I create a purchase order, I'm going to actually create it for that vendor 40,000. Or actually, I'm going to open one that I created for 40,000. And I'm going to go ahead and add the item. And if you notice, I personalized the screen and added the cross-reference number so that I can pick MWC 100. And look what happened. It brought in our internal reference ID, the 1936S. It also brought in the unit of measure that I had assigned to the vendor for that box. Now, if I pick 1936S, here's one of the things I don't like. It does not bring in the vendor's cross-reference number. And it uses my 1936S description, and it uses my item. So to make it work on the purchase order, you need to use the cross-reference number. Now on the sales order, just so you know, it works either way. So there's some difference between the purchase order and the sales order. And if you're using cross-references in both areas, you want to pay attention to that.
Right? I did not know. Something else I didn't know. Thanks,
well,
Cynthia.
I'll be honest, I didn't really realize that difference existed until I started putting together this little demonstration. Now, what's really cool though is on the purchase order, what you'll see here is it is using the vendor's reference number.
Which is great because the vendor knows their numbers and what they call it, and so it makes it easier for them to actually process your order.
But guess what it uses on the sales order? Confirmation. Our internal number.
The standard one. Darn.
Yeah, so again,
a couple of little things.
I know, and maybe it's just because we think of it differently, and maybe other people out there are thrilled that it works that way. But I just wanted to let you know on the purchase order, it references the vendor's reference. On the customer's order confirmation, it's referencing our internal number. Now, you could do something with your reports probably, because we do have the word reports, right? The layouts, the custom layouts. So you could probably change the layout. I'm pretty sure that field would be available because it's right on the sales line.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Very cool.
All right.
All right. I guess the ball's coming back to me, and we're going to talk about some attributes. I think did I win that point or did you? I don't remember. Anyway.
I lost track.
Attributes. I can remember everybody being so excited to get attributes. You were? Yeah, I know, right?
I was thrilled.
And so, and they're really cool. I mean, so here's my one item. I'm looking at my, I think this is my desk. Maybe it's a chair, but I can pick all these things that I want to track. I don't have to track them all for every item, but I set up the different attributes that I want to do. So I define the what. I define the type, whether I've got a selection to choose from, maybe they're in some numbers, maybe it's just text I want to put in. This is an integer. You can make them options, all of these things. It's just super configurable, which is really cool. So if we look at it on an item, and I wanted to do this because I couldn't find a good way to show it all, but this is really an item list, right? And here's my item, and over on the right side in the yellow are my attributes. You can see I've picked one of the options. I've put in some numbers. I've done just a text here on the description. One of the neat things in Business Central is that you can actually use this image analyzer, and if you bring in a picture, it will suggest the attributes based on analyzing the picture. I think it's pretty cool.
So cool. So cool.
I know, right? We're getting into so much artificial intelligence and analyzation, so that's really cool.
Yep.
So here's the big question. How do we use this? And I did some searching, and I couldn't find anywhere where we really use it in Business Central or Nav. So, you know, I thought, well, why would we have this? Why were we so excited? And then it dawned on me. So think of BI reporting. I want to know sales by color. You could say, well, Kim, you could do variant on that. Okay, I'll give you that. But I also want to know by material used. I want to know maybe by height of the desk or, you know, something else. I only really have one variant unless I want to set up combinations, and just think of that. That's how many combinations of variants. And the more I have to enter as the user, the worse the data is going to be, because I'm a bad data entry person. So being able to use some Power BI reporting or a whatever reporting tool it might be, I could get sales by any one of those attributes, which is cool. Then also a website, right? A lot of websites, you're putting all those attributes out there so somebody can filter. I'm looking for a gray table, right? So, or a gray chair. Again, be able to feed that without having to maintain that data in two places. So the sky's the limit. It's in the cloud, but it's outside of Business Central a bit, right? So not much function in the actual product, but really I do think the sky's the limit, and I guess that's why we were super excited.
Yeah, and I think
I'm kind of excited about it.
I was, and I was really disappointed, but then I realized that the clients that I was working with that were doing the website integrations, maybe not some through the ISVs, but other ways, the attributes really became very, very helpful. So I really think that might have been what those were trying to fill. But I just wish it went a little bit further. And remember how we talked about learning from each other? When you told me you were going to do attributes, I was like, yay, I'm going to finally find out where they're all used.
And you didn't.
Not that it's your fault. There just isn't anything to tell me. So, oh well.
I hear you.
Next.
Identifiers. That's me too.
I know. So that means you're ahead because we've been alternating now. Jeez.
Okay. I won that point. Okay.
Yes.
So this is identifiers. I've seen it in the product for a very long time, right? And I wanted to figure out what it did and share that with y'all. So I went in and I went to the setup and I thought, well, this setup's really not many fields, but hey, it's pretty cool, right? Because same item, use A for a box and B for or B for the box, A for pieces. Kind of like a cross-reference, but it's not for any one customer, or it's for everybody. And I just thought, well, I could kind of like that, and even apply variants to it. So I said, okay, well now how do we use it in the product, which is all what we want to know. Setup is easy. So I went to find it, and I looked in sales orders. It's not there. I was like, darn it.
So I can't put an A on a sales order line and get.
I thought I could put an A and it would bring the item and the variant and the unit of measure. No, I could. There's no field, right? So I said, okay, purchase orders. That's where it is.
Yeah.
No, dang it, it's not there either. So it's like, where are the identifiers? So I did what any of us do when we can't find something, we Google it.
Yay,
and basically, I have found it is required if you're using automated data capture. So, and here's the little article out of the help about this. And it's really about identifying the different unit of measure for, the automated data capture. I would love to hear from somebody that's using it. You've got our emails and stuff in this slide deck, and actually any of these features. If you've got unique ways to deal with them, send them on, because I'm really interested. But again, I was a little bummed that it looked like it's going to be a great setup and a tool to use, and I guess it works great for the ADCS.
Right. So. Just not what we thought it could be.
Not what I was hoping for. Yeah.
Oh well.
Oh well. All right. I'm serving over to you.
And guess what? We're doing really well on time, just so you know. Awesome. We were a little worried about that because we'd like to talk.
We're going to need to spend some time on this one. This is a big topic that you tackled here.
It is prices and discounts. And first thing I want to make sure that you understand is that they're very, very powerful. And we can actually set up special prices and line discounts that can be used on the sales side as well as on the purchase side. And the way the system is structured, in this place it is helpful to us. It's designed so that our customers get the best deals, but so do we when we purchase. And the way that's done is through special price calculation. And built into the system, the base and only, right now, price calculation is a best price calculation. So what that means is that let's talk about, let's say on the sales side, your customer is going to get the lowest permissible, or I like to say possible price, as well as the highest permissible discount. It's a combination, right? It's not like, oh, well, is the price lower or the discount lower, and I'm going to give them that. It actually takes the lowest price and applies the highest discount, right? So you need to keep that in mind when you're setting up your pricing and your discounts. Same thing applies when you're purchasing and you set up your purchase prices and your purchase discounts. So you want to make sure you've got those recorded properly from your vendor. Now, something that a lot of people don't know is that if I am doing this pricing and I create a sales order and I put a line on and I select an item and the price comes in and the discount comes in and I look at it and I go, oh wait, I must have set something up incorrectly. So I go fix my setup. I go change my pricing or I go change my discounts. It's not going to go and make a change to that line that I've already inserted. It's only applying those new prices and discounts when I am inserting the line. So be cautious of that.
You told me that, and I didn't know that. I thought always when you made a change, it recalculated. I didn't know that.
Nope. And same thing on, so it's basically on documents or journal lines. Just be careful. Now, what you can do is you can go like pick another item and then pick that item again. So you're basically refreshing that line, but it's only on insert. It's not going to go out and update it because you made a change to pricing or discounts. And I'm talking with my hands, so I'm going to try to sit on them so I don't do that.
I don't know how to talk without them, right?
I don't. All right, so let's keep going on pricing. All right, now, another thing, I've had calls and people say, well, I've set up all my pricing and I've set up all my discounts, but the discounts aren't coming in, just the prices. Well, guess what? There's a flag, a setting on the item card to allow the discount. Now, depending on your templates, if you're using templates, this is a great flag to set with your templates, right? So I'm going to pick a template for an item with allowable discounts, or I'm going to pick a template for an item that's not going to allow discounts. So make sure that if you're having problems and your discounts aren't coming in, go check your item card because you may have not moved this to true or yes.
Oh,
now,
okay. That was this flag on the card. Whoops.
Yep.
Right. Okay. All right.
Yep. The allow invoice discount.
Okay.
Now,
when you said that about the item discounts, I thought maybe we were talking about this discount group.
Nope.
That's something else. Okay.
So yeah, this discount group, this is an area, and I'm actually going to have a hard time explaining this one because I hadn't used this before. And it's kind of interesting. It allows you to, I'd like to think of it like a product line. So what I can do is I can set up and I can say, all right, I'm going to create a discount group for my Euro furniture line. And that means that multiple items can be assigned to this Euro discount group, and the discount is applied across items. So let's take a look at that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to go to my items and, or I'm sorry, to my item discount groups because it's not set up on the item. I'm going to go to my item discount groups and I'm going to say that I am going to have a discount group for Euro furniture group. That's all there is to the item discount group. But when I go up to the navigation bar and click on the sales line discounts, this is where I get to say that when customer 2000 purchases one item out of this group, they get a discount. And by the way, it's only valid for these dates, between these dates. But customer 3000 has to order 10 of anything in this group to get a 15% discount, and they have a different date range. So it's really powerful. And again, think of it in terms of a way to group together items to apply a discount.
Nice.
So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to look at my item, and I'm going to use my infamous yellow chair again. And when I look at that item, you'll see that this item is in that Euro group. So whether somebody buys one of this chair and 10 of another chair that's in the group, or 10 of this chair, they're going to get the discount.
I see what you're saying. Okay. So it could be the red chair, but as long as it's in the Euro group.
Okay. Right. And I had never had a customer ask about this, and I'd never had an occasion to implement it. So I was really excited to take the opportunity to learn something new myself to do this presentation.
Yeah,
so
that's really
moving.
I love the fact that you talked about it in terms of putting them in kind of like groups of things. So that's because I do see people do that, right?
Right. I just hadn't had the request. So now when we talk about sales prices and discounts, that item group discount is one type of line discount, but we have other prices and discounts that we can set. And when we do that, we can look on the customer side, we can look at things by a specific customer. We can set up customer price groups or customer discount groups. The example there might be that I have a buying group. So I have a lot of different customers, but they're all part of a buying group. That buying group negotiates a special price with me. So any customers in that buying group could have special prices, or maybe they're in a buying group that gives them special discounts. And then I can set up pricing for all customers, because if I don't set up pricing, it will use the price on the item card. If I want to set up special pricing for all customers for a short period of time, let's say I have overstock. And so for 1 month, for any customer that orders it, I want to offer a special price. I can set up a price for all customers and define it for just that month. And then there's campaigns using relationship management. We're not going there today. So let's go to the next slide. So what I have here, again, I'm just going to show you how we can set up some things. So if I come up to special sales prices, and here I am, I'm setting up something for customers, and I can also set something up for a customer price group or all customers. And you can see as I go across here, you can set up different minimum quantities. You can set it up based on unit of measure. And notice how when it's all customers, I can't define a specific because it's all. But if it's a customer, I'm going to pick which customer it is. If it's a customer price group, I'm going to set up a price group. And again, I can define it by dates. Now keep in mind, we talked about permissible. What if somebody has a customer discount and they have a customer price group and then I have all customers? It's going to look for the best price for them. All right?
Right, right.
Same thing applies on the discounts. I'm just, instead of setting up a price, I'm setting up a percentage. And the way to see them all is to come in here. And remember, I mentioned the item discount group is a line discount. So here I can see that I've got line discounts and I've got sales prices. And this is where I can see everything together. So if I'm trying to troubleshoot why a particular price came in on a document, this will help me figure out how it came up with the best price calculation.
That's nice, yes.
All right. I want to show you that you can do the same thing on the purchase side. I didn't set any up, but it would, if you came into the overview, you would see the same thing where you would see the line discounts, the line prices, and again, that would be on the purchase side. It works
a lot of the same
way.
feature, right?
Absolutely the same way. No sense spending time showing you the same thing twice.
The same thing, yeah.
Okay. So if we move on, I want to share with you a little secret. I guess it's not really a secret, it's been published, but we do have new price calculation capabilities in the 2020 release 1, wave 1. They do exist in the code. There is not a user interface access to them yet, so we don't have any way to set them up. But if you really need something before that is released, because it is coming down the pike, I haven't looked to see if it's in this release that's coming out, but if you really need it, you could do an extension. And the idea there is it's going to create capabilities for different price calculations. For example, if you wanted to not have the best price calculation come into play, because maybe you're doing penalty pricing for a particular customer, because maybe they don't pay real timely and getting your 1% isn't the greatest deal anyway, you know, because they're paying late, they pay the 1% or they don't. So you want to charge them a little bit more. We really don't have a way to do that with the best price calculation kicking in. With the price calculations that have been added, I'm thinking that that's the type of thing that we will now be able to do. And that's really been missing in the system.
It really has. I know it's something that some people balk at using the sales pricing because it does always give best price instead of the price and the discount I wanted, and just that one, not anything else. I think the moral of that story is when you set up pricing is really test, yeah. Right? It is probably one of those places where you need to spend extra time. But once you do it, then you don't have to worry about pricing out each sales order, each line, and double checking it. And you know, you do all that setup, you learn that, you get it ready to go, and wow, what a time saver when you're dealing with a lot of orders and et cetera.
Not only a time saver, but error saver. And I joke and say you can get rid of a second monitor because you don't have to keep an Excel spreadsheet open over there with all your special pricing. If you really use it in the system, I know customers who've gotten addicted to it. You know, they were really hesitant, but like you said, they took the time. They set it up, they planned everything out, they figured out, they understood it, and they put it in place. And there's ways to copy pricing and update pricing. I mean, it's really, really powerful, and I believe underutilized. And when we get that additional price calculation in here, I think everybody should consider using
absolutely.
pricing.
Absolutely.
And there's a link here to that, and I believe the PowerPoint will be clickable for the link that will allow you to see that documentation from the developer and IT Pro Help.
No, great. That's exciting. Fingers crossed, everybody.
Yes.
All right, let's talk about substitutions. I guess the ball's in my court now. That little white ball is hard to hit, by the way. So substitutions, they're interchangeable. They can be conditional, and of course, variants can apply, right? When you set something as interchangeable, and I'm really talking about this little checkbox here, it's something that you edit. It means it applies either way. So I'm on my 1936 guest chair, but I could be on my 1900 guest chair, and either one of them substitute for the other. And I don't have to do the setup both places. Conditional doesn't work the same way. And also conditional is kind of grayed out, which means you can't edit it, which also means we have to set it up under in another spot, right? We have to click conditionals and then go add it. So my conditional is a color. So my guest chair is that beautiful yellow that we've been looking at, but this roam substitution is green. So I put a conditional on it almost as something for somebody to look at, to like talk to the customer and make sure that they're okay with the green if you're going to try to substitute it. So it really was, you could use this, I think, any number of ways for conditional. So I was really excited about this. It's another one of those things where I feel like we stopped a little short of really making it a super useful tool, but let's take a look at how it runs, how we use it. Substitutions in action here. So
sounds like a TV show.
I know, right? So I've got my Paris guest chair. Now this is black, and my customer has placed an order for it, and I can look and see that I don't have.
Are you expecting us to see something on the screen?
That would be nice. That would be very nice.
You might have needed to click again. There we go.
Yes, there's my sales order. I've already got the order created, putting the item in. My customer actually wants 6 of them. And if you look, my item availability, I can't even see that. My eyes have gone wonky. Is this playing?
I think you need to click on this one.
Well, let's do that.
We forgot to make it be automatic.
There we go.
Oh, we were doing so good.
We were doing so good. So I have my order. I'm going to put a quantity in, and I noticed that I don't have enough. And so actually I did have enough. I had 8. I only ordered 6, but that's okay. My substitutions, I see I have one. So I want to go look and see what that is. It says, well, you can use the 1936, and you have 100 of those, right? And it didn't have a condition on it. I didn't stop there to show you. It didn't have a condition. It just automatically assumed yellow. I probably would have wanted to put a condition if I'm changing something from black to yellow to stop my user and say, hey, check out this condition on this.
So is it a warning or a notification? What is it?
It's not, and that's the problem with it. Is it's manual. So just as it was manual that I had to click on the fact that there's a substitution available, if I saw a condition, I have to click to see the condition. So this is where I said it stopped short. It could have been so much more.
Maybe it will be.
To accept it. So fingers crossed on maybe we get a little bit better on that one. Sorry about that little video there that didn't quite turn out for us, but you will have all these videos that you can start and stop when you get the PowerPoint. And last but not least here, we have translations. And I don't know if you've noticed, but within the product, there's a language code in a lot of places. Way back there on extended text, there was a language code. You've probably seen language code. I thought I used to see them on customers, when I was looking for it this time, I found it on the contact. And setting up a translation was super simple. I picked a language. I picked Mexico Spanish, and I Googled for the description, and I got Escritorio Atinas. I can do a little bit of Spanish accent, being from Texas. And that was it. I mean, it's 2 little things to set up. Super easy setup, right? There's no translation tool. You have to figure that out on your own. And so then I wanted to know just, okay, so what makes it tick, right? What makes it work? What's the trigger? And I found out, of course, the language codes have to be in there, but when you set up Business Central, they're in there, right? By default. I had to set up the translation on the item, put my Escritorios Atinas, see, I don't even remember it now. And then I had to put a language code on the customer or the contact. I put it on the contact because I couldn't find the field on the customer. And once that's there, the translation just happened, right? I went out and did a sales order, and I put in my item number, and the description just populated with the Spanish name, which is fabulous for my customer when they get the invoice. I didn't really like it that it's on my sales order this way, but we've talked about using the report layouts and being able to edit that, and potentially at least it won't change it on the screen, but if we printed a pick ticket or a sales order confirmation or whatever, we could adjust that a little bit. I just didn't like that it actually showed that here. I think that could be confusing for people who have no idea what an 1896S is. Hopefully my staff kind of has memorized a lot of the numbers.
Right.
So, Miss Cynthia,
Yes.
still more features that we didn't even get a chance to cover, and we're pretty much out of time already.
We are. We've got a few minutes. If you want to, I'll take the first one and we can talk about it a little bit. Okay.
Yeah.
So, default deferral template. This is something that you can set up by basically you go create a template, and what it does is it allows you to create a schedule to apply the application of that item to multiple periods in the future. So I would see this as being something that I would set up on probably an item that I defined as a type service and maybe a subscription. So I'm selling an item that's a subscription, and it's a 6-month subscription. So when I sell it today and I post that sale, I really should not be recognizing all 6 months of that revenue this month. I really need to recognize 1/6 of that revenue over a period of each of 6 months. So by creating a deferral template, assigning it to the item for the subscription, I create a deferral template for 6 months. When I post that sales invoice, it actually posts it to the current period, reverses it from the current period, and then posts 1/6 each month in the future. Really, really cool. Completely eliminates tons of journal entries that had to be done at month end.
Absolutely. Right? And by having it as the default, you don't have to remember to do it on the line of the sales order.
Exactly. So I don't really think of it as adding it to an item that's a Berlin chair, but I would add it to it. Yeah, I know. At first I was like, why would you put a deferral template on an item? But we have
that's
the
a good
ability
point.
to create an item that's type service, which maybe should have been a field that we talked about. So I think those deferral templates are really, really cool. Little caveat, whoever's posting those orders does need to have their posting date range open out enough into the future to be able to post those entries. So if you have people that you normally are setting to 1 month, they're not going to be able to post these deferrals, these invoices with a deferral on them.
Interesting. Well, and the over receipt, I played with setting that up a little bit, and I won't tell you that I'm a expert at it, but I was able to go in and set up different codes, maybe for a 10% over receipt on some item or 5% on others, and apply that to the item card. And then on the purchase side, right, it came into my purchase order. I could actually override it on the purchase order. So if for some reason it was going to be special this time around, and then the system wouldn't stop me at the 100 that I ordered, I could do 110 for 10, 10% over, which is something that we've needed for a long time, right?
Yeah.
I'd like to be able to do it on shipping a little bit too, but I think this is a really powerful thing. And yeah, I'm kind of like you. It's like, now that I say that, maybe we should have done a section on that one. But there's just, this is kind of the point. There's so many things that we can do.
There is. And I think a good note to wrap up on would be that don't stop here. Don't be afraid to go look at an item card or any master data record and start looking at the fields, hover over the captions, read the tooltips, Google. I almost said giggle.
We don't do any of that.
Yeah, never. Especially not when we started. But Google what the field is about. Docs.Microsoft, I have to tell you, some areas it's really good, in other areas it's lacking. But between the tooltip and Google, and by the way, Google and go to YouTube channels, go to videos that people have posted, look at what other partners and other users and MVPs have put out there. But if you're sitting there saying there's got to be a better way, or there's got to be other organizations that needed help in this area, chances are Microsoft is either doing it or thinking about doing it.
Post something on forum and ask your fellow users.
Yes.
Right.
Or look in the forum, because maybe
look in the forum, search for it. Exactly. But all of those things are great tools. I know that last one on there on this, Cynthia, I've had so many users say, I want to discontinue this item, but I can't block it because then I can't sell it, but I don't want to buy anymore. So now we can block it from purchase, but still sell it. So and it's
that was a change.
It's a change. It hasn't always been there. So hopefully this gets your creative juices flowing about what you might be able to improve your system on, and test. I mean, you set up a sandbox, test it, go for it, but reach out. Cynthia added some great documents in here related to the pricing piece. So hopefully that will be helpful for you as well.
All right. And then I think we're supposed to make sure that people do what at the end of this?
Oh, well, let's see. They need to email us and say, hi, we love you. But really the most important thing is complete your surveys. I know it's kind of a pain, and we don't get necessarily all the surveys, but we really want them because we like to know what you liked about the session, what you didn't like. If Kim can't run the mouse right and get on the right slide, tell us. We already know that part, but tell me anyway.
And I think what everybody can see is this is us. This is genuine. We didn't say everything exactly perfect, but nobody's perfect. And I would encourage people to get involved in the community and present. It's fun. It's a blast. It's not scary. I alluded to giggling in the beginning because we had to start I don't know how many times because we just could not get our act together. But we have so much fun. And the other thing is, I think I read.
We learn, Cynthia, we learn. We learn just doing this together, and we learn from each other, just like we do. And the hardest part is we're not together to share this, right? And be in the same room, and we miss that. But if you get involved, you will get that much and more out. Absolutely.
And I did see something, I think, that said you can't get CPE unless you turn in a survey.
Ooh, so turn in those surveys.
I think I saw that. So if you're hoping to get CPE from this session, you're going to need to make sure you put in your survey, and please make sure it's all good. No, seriously. If you want to make comments, constructive criticism is always good. So please let us know. And hopefully you had a takeaway from this session. We had a blast. Thank you.
Had a blast. See you in another session. Enjoy Community Summit 2020. Thanks, everybody.
This conference will now be recorded.
This is the Item Master Plus session. Oh. All right, I guess we should start over. I have joining me today.
You didn't have your slide up. Let's start over again.
Oh, I have a co-host today.
You did it again.
I did it again. This is the Item Master Plus session. Or you literally could write a book. There's no limitation on the information that you can set up. I went way too far.
You know what? And I didn't time this. We need to start over again. Should we get a drink?